What is up everyone? How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing great and I hope you're all staying safe. Today's video is another pretty interesting one because it's been 3 weeks since I received my Oculus Quest 2 and I think I'm at the point where I can properly compare it to the Oculus Quest 1 and tell you exactly what I think about it. And of course yesterday we gave away that Oculus Quest to my friend, so the gaming channel can now finally become active. So if you guys don't know about the gaming channel yet, basically me and my friend were collaborating to make a gaming channel. It's mostly his, however I'm going to appear in multiple of those videos. So if you guys are interested in watching some quality VR gaming, well, Manozakop. You can find it under the related channels section on the front page or in the description. Make sure to subscribe because videos coming very soon. And all the gameplay that you see in today's video, all the Population 1, was done with him. So, and at the end, I'm also going to show you a pretty cool mod where I join the top-notch Quest gang because I'm going to show you how to mount your current battery bank to the back of your Oculus Quest 2. Since I had to do this yesterday when playing Population 1 because, as you'll know when I compare it, this thing doesn't have the best battery life. So, let's move on to the specs to begin with. First of all, the starting price. The Oculus Quest 2 has a starting price of $299 in dollars, of course, if you are in the US. We're gonna stick to US pricing here since I'm not gonna add the crappy taxes that the EU puts on us. And I do have everything on my laptop there, so if you see me glancing over there, it's not that this is scripted, it's because the specs are there. And then looking at the Oculus Quest 1, we're looking at a price of $399. So instantly, the Oculus Quest 1 seems more expensive, right? Except that's not necessarily the case, because you can get Oculus Quest 1s used right now for €180. Ask me how I know this, I got my friend one. So yeah, and I didn't necessarily get it for him because it was cheaper, and that will become much more apparent in just a few minutes. Looking at the pixels per eye, this is where things get really upgraded, because on the Oculus Quest 2 we're looking at 1832 by 1920, and then on the Oculus Quest 1 we're looking at 1440 by 1600, which is already quite a big upgrade for the Oculus Quest 2, and this can be seen very easily as the screen door effect on the Oculus Quest 2 is pretty much non-existent, which is a massive plus for it, since for me, the screen door effect is a loss in immersion. So that is a point to the Oculus Quest 2. Now, looking at the refresh rate, things also get slightly interesting, because the Quest 2 has a launch refresh rate of 72 Hz. However, that will get upgraded to 90 Hz. But currently, it's stuck at that 72, the exact same refresh rate the Oculus Quest 1 was stuck at, so currently we don't actually have an upgrade from the Quest 1. But is this that much of an issue? Well, it's pretty nice to have 90 Hz, and I have played on 90 Hz using Virtual Desktop because it is available on Virtual Desktop for PC VR gaming. It is a really nice upgrade. However, with the battery life, things become quite interesting. Now moving on to the weight. The weight was a big problem with the Oculus Quest 1. It was pretty front heavy, and we all had this issue. We all tried to fix it in many different ways, shapes, and forms. A lot of you fixed it using the FrankenQuest mod. I can't afford the FrankenQuest mod, so I just mounted a battery bank to the back. Worked pretty well. However, what are we looking at here specs-wise? Well, the Oculus Quest 2 is 503 grams and the Oculus Quest 1 is 571 grams. That is almost a 70-gram difference right there. And if we're being more specific, it's a 68-gram difference. Now that might not seem like a lot, however on your face, it really seems a lot lighter. And that is also why this strap isn't actually that bad. Now the tracking has also been slightly upgraded, with the cameras changing where they are a little bit, allowing for, in my personal opinion, better tracking. However, this could just be me thinking that it's better because it's newer. It might not actually be that much better. But this is just my findings throughout the 3 weeks. This could just be all done software-wise. But in my personal opinion, throughout the last 3 weeks, I have found the tracking to be better, smoother, and just a little bit more snappy when it comes down to it. Now, the battery capacity is where things get very interesting, because this is a newer device. It should have a better battery, right? And the specs tell us 2 to 3 hours, and the same thing goes for the Oculus Quest 1. However, again, this is where things get interesting. Playing on the Quest itself without the 90 Hz mod, without Virtual Desktop, it does pretty well. It does probably about 2 2 hours for me personally playing a pretty demanding game like, let's say, Population 1. However, bumping up the refresh rate to 90 Hz, yeah, that doesn't really do it. That kind of kills the battery for me a lot faster. Maybe I'd be lucky if I were to get 1.5 hours out of it. It's really not the best. However, as I said in yesterday's video, I do think this is all just a software thing because the chip is brand new. It's an XR2 chip. Everything is just not really optimized for it 100% yet. However, I have found the battery life in my Quest 1 to just be a lot better. And again, this could just be that the Quest 1 has had much more time out in the open, software updates, etc., getting it to that perfect point, but I can get over 3 hours on my Quest 1, no problem. And in Population 1, yeah, the Quest 1 certainly beats the Quest 2 100% when it comes down to battery life. However, well, this might not necessarily be an issue for you, especially if you strap a battery bank onto the back or have the Elite head strap with battery. But I don't have the Elite head strap with battery. With a battery bank, it does actually work pretty well, and the battery bank charges it back up, and we get another 2 to 3 hours. So, you know, kind of depending how you look at that, but as a standalone device, no battery attached, the battery life is overall worse than the Quest 1. So the Quest 1 gets a point here. Now, I would like to jump back to the display a little bit, since I think a lot of this may have to do with the display. The Oculus Quest 1 sports an OLED display, while the Oculus Quest 2 has an LCD. Now, a lot of you don't know the difference between OLED and LCD because a lot of you have asked me, so let me try and explain. An LCD is a liquid crystal display. The backlight on it lights up the entire screen, right? This is why when you're looking at a black environment inside the Quest 2, it's not actually black. You can still see the light shining through it onto you. However, with an OLED panel, each pixel is individually lit, which means that if something is black or dark on the screen, they can completely turn off, allowing for much better black levels, which means that on the Quest 1, when you're in a dark environment, in a black environment, or on a loading screen, because I've found that quite a bit of the loading screens are black, you waste much less battery, because all the pixels are just turned off. So according to me, this could also be a lot to do with the display and the lower resolution, of course. But I feel like software, resolution, and display technology combined just overall makes for a much better battery inside the Quest 1. And you know, when it comes down to virtual reality, the battery is, well, pretty important, unless of course you're doing PC VR through the link. Now let's move on to the processors, because there has also been a massive jump here. The Quest 1 used a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835, which was already outdated when the Quest 1 came out. Now, Quest 2 on the other hand, has that sweet XR2 chip, which has a lot of possibilities. We've got Wi-Fi 6, and just a much faster, better, snappier overall experience. There's no denying the fact that the Oculus Quest 2 is a much snappier device, but it doesn't come without its flaws. The Oculus Quest 2 has come out with a lot of defects, and unfortunately those are continuing to happen. From the display panels inside the Quest itself to headsets just being blurry, I think that the Quest 2 has had kind of a rushed launch. It's either that or the quality control just hasn't been the best, because I'm personally one of those affected. I've got something I would call light bleed on the bottom left of the panel, and the pictures I showed you really don't do it justice. This thing becomes super apparent and really annoying once you're in a dark environment, which is why I have, as I said in yesterday's video, decided to return this and hope to get a new one, because this makes it pretty much unplayable, with that backlight bleed just forcing my eyes to jump to it every time and just getting really annoying while playing games. Kind of makes you lose the immersion a lot. But other than that, we can't deny the fact that the Quest 2 is overall, in spec-wise, a much better device. I mean, let's look at the RAM, which is how fast your device is. We're looking at 6 GB of RAM inside the Quest 2 and only 4 gigs inside the Quest 1. I mean, my phone has more than 4 gigs of RAM, but personally, I haven't really found this to be an issue. Even in Population 1, the Quest 1 does pretty well. But of course, then again, the Quest 1 doesn't have all the graphical updates that the Quest 2 does, so you are missing out in a few games. Now, we're not going to go through any of the obvious differences, for example, the color of the Quest 2 being white and the Quest 1 being black. I mean, that's just obvious stuff. However, we are going to talk about the required Facebook login, because this is quite a big deal to a lot of people. Not me. I don't really mind. However, to a lot of people, it is a pretty big deal. On the Oculus Quest 1, no Facebook login required. You can just use an Oculus account. However, on the Quest 2, you're forced to sign in with your Facebook account. Again, I personally don't mind this. Facebook can take my data. It's just a price I pay for buying this device for so cheap. However, on the Quest 1, you're free from that. You're free to use your Oculus account until the year. So you know, if that's a pretty big deal to you, there you go. And the final thing that we are going to talk about is the controllers. The controllers have been completely redesigned, and personally, I do prefer the design of the Oculus Quest 2 controllers. We're back to the design of the Oculus Rift CV1 controllers. However, this is completely user-based. You guys might hate it. I personally enjoy it. They are a little bit larger, but again, I like this design more. And the big deal about them, the batteries last much, much longer in them. They both take AA batteries. However, the Quest 2 controllers just last much longer on them. So let's conclude, now looking at all the specs, comparing them side by side, which device do I think is better? Well, that depends. If you already have a Quest 1, I don't necessarily think you should jump and straight away buy the Quest 2. That is, unless you have the money to do so. If you spent a lot of money just to get the Quest 1 and you've just gotten it, I wouldn't be that disappointed. The Quest 1 is still a great device, still has better battery life, and much better blacks, because the blacks in this thing are honestly atrocious. But that was to be expected. The Quest 1 also doesn't have as many defects as these do, because these are still coming out with defects, especially those Elite head straps, even though those have stopped selling right now, so technically we're in the clear on those for now. But if I were to choose an overall device, I would still go with the Quest 2. It just feels much better on my head, it's lighter, which is a pretty big deal, and the battery life isn't a problem for me because I just connect that external power bank and I'm ready to go. I am pretty bummed about the defect that I have, however I really hope that can be solved by Oculus support in a timely manner, especially now with the global situation. Other than that, I am going to choose the Quest 2 as my overall winner. This is the headset that I pick up if I want to go to game. Yesterday I was playing Population 1 with Eddie. This is the headset that I picked up to do that, and I do feel like it's an upgrade. This is certainly not a downgrade, but I do think corners were cut, and I mean they had to be for that price. This is still not a no compromises headset. I guess we just have to wait for that one. So now that that's done, let me show you guys exactly how to mount a battery to the back of your Oculus Quest 2. This is the way I do it, right? I have an Anker power cord 20,000, which means 20,000 milliamp hours, and to the back of the head strap right here, which is completely black at this point, by the way, this is what I do. I grab the rubber band, I fold it in on itself, so what I mean by that is you kind of pull it around the head strap like this, and then put one end of the rubber band through the other end, so that it makes a kind of knot like this. And then what you want to do is you just slide the power bank through this. Pretty simple, right? Just like that. And then we do the same thing on the other side, and there we go. And then, I mean, it's not gonna be the most comfortable thing, and personally, I think my battery bank is heavier than the Quest 2, but it does actually go onto your head, and it does stay there. So, you know, just a really simple hack in case you guys don't have the Elite head strap with some rubber bands, which is, you know, something I think everybody is going to have at least 2 of inside their household. And if you don't, they're certainly much cheaper than the Elite head strap. And this does also somewhat help with weight distribution, especially if your battery bank isn't heavier than your headset. So, if you guys liked today's video, please give it a like. If you guys disliked it, I guess this button works too. But if you guys like this type of content and would like to support the channel, mysticalstore.com down in the description below. If you guys want to be notified about future content like this, and you're not yet part of the community, make sure to join Discord down below. We also have a Reddit down there where I want to see you guys posting your spicy memes, and if you guys want to be notified about future content coming up daily, make sure to smack that subscribe button with your forehead, ding my bell, and see you again in the next video. Peace. I need to drink my coffee.